Hello, happy Wednesday. I've been so happy to hear from a bunch of you during the week asking what we're making in the following episode. It's really fun to know that you're out there and you're wanting to cook together. I'm hoping starting next week, to have the ingredients ready by midday on Monday, so that if you're doing a grocery order or a grocery run, you'll have a little bit more time to prepare. But anyway, if you didn't have time to get the ingredients today, you can watch, you can ask questions, you can say hi to other people in the feed, and then you can make it later with the recipe. Okay, so I've prepped some of the ingredients and I left some of them unprepped, either because I didn't have time or I thought it'd be good for all of us to catch up on prepping things together, or some of the things I thought might be a little bit more difficult that you might want to see the techniques. So some of the things that we're going to need for this recipe are onion, ginger, and garlic. That's what we're going to start out with. And then carrot, zucchini, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and celery, or if you wish, you can use water chestnuts. And I forgot to say, we're making Vietnamese mushroom lettuce wraps today. And so, of course, we're going to need lettuce that we can wrap them in later. And then some of the garnishes we're going to use are fresh cilantro, green onion, and salt and pepper. And finally, I have sesame oil that we're going to cook it all in, and then our seasonings of cocoa aminos or coconut aminos and brown rice vinegar. If you don't have cocoa aminos and brown rice vinegar, you could use a combination of soy sauce or tamari and lime juice. That'll work just as well. I kind of forgot about the lime juice. I probably would have done that today if I had remembered, because I really love lime juice in the summer, but I've already measured out the brown rice vinegar, just something to give it a little sour taste. So let's begin by dicing the onion. I already have peeled the onion and cut it in half, and the root end, let's see which is the root end, is right here. So I kind of started it on the wrong end, but usually I have the root end facing away from me so that it'll hold together, but I think we're going to luck out and it's going to hold together anyway. And I'm making these cuts pretty close together so that we'll have a small dice, or even smaller than a small dice. It'll be more like a mince. And I like to make all the cuts fairly small for the mushroom filling, because then when you're putting some on the lettuce wrap, you won't have big chunks that are kind of falling off. And you want everything to be bite-sized or even smaller than bite-sized for this. So you can see how easy it is to dice an onion when you use that technique. So I literally sliced along the ridges of the onion, and then I turned it 90 degrees and sliced the other way. And now I'm gonna turn the pan on. You want to use a big saute pan for this recipe. And in just a moment, we're going to put the onions in. Those will take the longest to cook, so we want to start out with that. And I remember having mushroom wraps before at a Vietnamese restaurant, and you can get them at places like P.F. Chang's. And I really, really liked the concept, but I wanted to try to make them at home, because at restaurants they're always a little too salty, a little too greasy, a little too much sugar for my taste. I like to have things where it brings out the natural flavors in the vegetables And I generally will add more vegetables to a recipe than what they use in a restaurant. Restaurants are trying to save time. So, they're going to use maybe mushrooms and garlic and ginger and maybe the canned ingredients like the water chestnuts and bamboo shoots, but they're probably not going to put all of these other vegetables in that we're using today because it takes extra time and extra money. But at home, we can do it however we want. So the next thing I'm going to do, and this recipe doesn't have any sugar in it, which is an added bonus. Now I'm going to actually need to peel all of this. This is fresh ginger root, and it smells so fresh, so good. I could imagine making a lime cooler or something, like a little lime drink with ginger in it. It just smells so fresh. I think I remember when I was growing up, that in the compost, my mother, who's watching today, I think, she used to make stir fry, and she would always put ginger in stir fry, and she would keep the ginger in the freezer, I think already peeled. And I haven't gotten to the point where I do that because it does seem to keep, as long as you keep the peel on, it keeps pretty well at room temperature outside, but if you weren't going to use it within a couple weeks, then you'd probably want to peel it and put it in the freezer, and then you can grate it as you need it. And that's what we're going to do right now, using a microplane zester, which got broken when I took it somewhere last for a class. I think it got pounded by a big pot or something in the sink. I don't know. But this is an effective way of grating ginger. Sometimes I'll get lazy and I won't use the zester. I will just chop up the ginger, and you end up with big chunks of ginger in your stir fry or whatever you're making. And I just don't really like the way it tastes as much. And this will make sure that the ginger flavor gets throughout the entire dish because you have such small grated pieces. This is also the way that you would make ginger juice. If your recipe calls for ginger juice, you can just squeeze the juice out of the pulp or put it in a little tiny tea strainer or something. This should be about the right amount. 2 to 3 teaspoons is all you need. Okay. So now I think I'm just going to keep prepping because this is a type of saute that once you start, it goes so fast that you pretty much need to have everything prepped ahead of time. So I cut the carrot in half, and now I'm going to cut the carrot. You need a very sharp knife to be able to do these planks. I'm using a Nikiri Japanese vegetable knife that's made out of carbon steel, and unfortunately this brand doesn't exist anymore. Otherwise I would tell you exactly how to get it. But if you were to look for Nikiri style Japanese vegetable knife, carbon steel, you could find some brands. I would get ones that are made in Japan and get it directly from the seller rather than buying it on Amazon. They usually come with a warranty that way. And we had an issue with getting a shoe knife from Amazon once that we had to return because it literally wasn't sharp when we got it. And then we read afterwards that there can be imitations or people that have returned them if you get it from Amazon, whereas if you get it from the company itself, then it comes with a warranty. They make sure that it's brand new, it's sharpened, etc. So recommend that. Do you think these need to be cut a little bit more? Like sliced in half?
Oh no, I think they're good.
I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. These are bamboo shoots. I can show you the...
I can smell them.
They're already sliced. I rinsed these off so that they wouldn't be quite as salty. But I didn't slice them yet. So you could either, I think I'll leave them long even though everything else is kind of small dice in here. They are very tender, so I think if I cut them too small, they'll kind of just disappear into the dish. This is one of the only things that I use bamboo shoots for. I don't know if you use them in stir fries often where you live. And I decided to use celery today instead of water chestnuts, but you can use either. And one second. Then we've got our mushrooms. I think what I'll do is start the onion, ginger, and garlic, and then I'll slice the mushrooms just to save a little bit of time. So turn the pan on again. I had to turn it off because I had it on a little bit too early. These, I'm going to use a combination of oyster mushrooms, and maybe I didn't even bring enough out. I don't know. And shiitake mushrooms, but you can use regular white button mushrooms. I actually read somewhere that those are very nutritious, even though they're the cheapest ones. I'm going to make sure I don't waste any of these mushrooms. These oyster mushrooms are expensive and super delicious, so I'm going to use as much of it as I can. So I have the combination of shiitake and oyster mushrooms. And with these, let's see, I guess I have to take some of them off so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to make sure that these are in bite-sized pieces. And in just a moment, I'm going to start the onions over here. I think that I can multitask, and then I start doing something and I realize, actually, maybe I shouldn't try to multitask. So in case you've been seeing some posts that I've been doing about the Cooking Together project, it's a collaborative project where I'm providing an instructional video once a week and a recipe to the subscribers of the project, and then they share, whenever they have time, share their stories of how cooking is going at home, recipes that they've tried, and I also give a tip, whether it's another recipe that's a dessert, a snack, or a cooking technique, a kitchen tip, or a health tip. I've done a few health tips that are about exercise, that I'm into very low impact exercise that is good for your health, rather than some of the exercises that are out there that tend to create a lot of acid in the body, like what I used to do, all the marathon running and stuff. Did not work for me and my health condition, but I did a tip on the, I think it's called the 5 minute workout or something like that, where it's about getting out of your chair if you work from home all day or work behind a desk a lot, what you can do in just 5 minutes, once an hour, to get your circulation going and just move a little bit throughout the day. So that was one of the tips. I hope that people enjoyed that. And if you're already a subscriber to that, you would know that we started doing a month of summer Italian cooking, which I didn't realize how hard that was going to be for me to come up with recipes. I think it's because I'm trying to come up with recipes I haven't done already on the blog. And I have a lot of Italian recipes on the blog already. So it's been a challenge, but it has helped me to branch out. Trying to think what we did for the first week in the Italian. Oh, we did creamy polenta with a mushroom ragu, another mushroom dish. And I really love that recipe because polenta is something that is kind of hard to cook well, but it's super easy to make. You just have to know kind of the proportions, and I actually use my pressure cooker to make it, although you don't have to. It just takes longer to boil than it does to pressure cook. And the recipes on that cooking together are gluten-free and dairy-free. And so the idea is just to give ideas and provide a space for community interaction. We have our own little Facebook group. And just recently, one of my friends and former clients signed up her whole family, her daughter, her other daughter and son-in-law, and then she got an account for her and her husband, and then she got one for her parents. And so the whole family is going to be doing it together and remotely, because I think they live in all different places. They can share their experiences. So that was exciting. To find out what the way that they're using it. And this recipe is available on Cook Love Heal, and we put the link there. So if you're not making it right now, while you're watching this, you can make it later and gather all the ingredients. Let's see, so this pan is already hot. I'm gonna coat the bottom with some untoasted sesame oil. You could use extra virgin olive oil if you don't have the sesame oil. And I'm not using the exact measurements from the recipe because exact measurements aren't so important for this type of recipe. If I was doing baking a loaf of bread or making a cake or making a pie crust or something, then the measurements would be much more critical. All you have to do is change the seasonings a little bit if you add more or less vegetables in this dish. You can see some of my onions didn't get diced, but that's fine. Okay. I'm gonna put the garlic in next, and I'm gonna wait a little bit on the ginger just so that that doesn't burn. I know in the recipe I have that going in right now, but I think I'm gonna hold off and put that in just a little bit later. And then next, so I don't know if I put any salt in here yet. I think I didn't. I'm gonna put a pinch of salt just to help these onions release a little bit of moisture. Maybe you'll be able to see that in a minute. You could also just add a little splash of water so that they don't burn. Just make sure your heat isn't on too high, so you don't want those onions to burn. And I'm just going to keep the board clean because I've got a couple more things for the garnish that I'm going to want to slice.
May Woody.
Oh yeah.
Said hi.
Hi May, it's good to see you here. May came to visit Austin last fall, I think, and that's how we met. Those were in the days when we could get together for lunch and not worry about anything. So it's good that you made your trip when you did, May. And put just a little more sesame oil because we are going to be adding quite a bit more vegetables. I just added the carrots and now zucchini. I brought these to a potluck, I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before, at my friend Marco's house. I should have tagged Marco in this video, but that was probably the first time I made them. So, can you remember, Nelson, if that was last summer or the summer before? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Time is a funny thing now. Losing track of it. One more pinch of salt. Don't want to make it completely seasoned with salt because we are going to add the cocoa aminos later, but cocoa aminos are much less salty than soy sauce or tamari or shoyu. So they'll add a nice complement of flavors, sweet, salty, kind of umami. We're going to add this a little later once the mushrooms are in here. Missed a couple of these. One thing I like about the Japanese vegetable knife is that when you cut through the vegetable, because it's mostly flat and at the very tip it's a little curved, as you're cutting through the vegetable, it goes all the way through the vegetable, especially if you use this gliding motion. I'll show you in a second when I'm cutting the green onion. But that's one reason why I like the knife. And also, you can make very, very thin cuts. So like if you're slicing radishes or anything that you want to be very thinly sliced, it's super easy with this kind of knife. You can even slice bread with these knives because they're so sharp. You just don't want to cut anything that is super hard, like maybe a kabocha squash. Unless you're really skilled at using this, I would use a heavier duty knife, like a stainless steel knife, so it doesn't get chipped. This actually got chipped recently, very tiny, tiny chip that we need to get worked out of this by a professional knife sharpener. I don't know how it happened, but could have been on a winter squash or something. I don't know. Okay, this is looking good. So we want the filling to be kind of al dente. It's going to be fresh and not overcooked. So I want to be careful about that. I think I'll go ahead and add the bamboo shoots. Oh, I'm going to add the ginger. Almost forgot about that.
Also, snake peppers here.
Oh, hi, Michael.
Frank,
Wait, who is it?
Frank Becker,
Oh, hi, Frank.
and George Reed, Sherry Crane, and Michelle Malak.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Hopefully this will be a fun idea for you to make sometime soon. Just put the celery in, and if you were using water chestnuts, you could put them in towards the end also. So I'm losing a few things down there. If you only have a smaller pan, you could cut this recipe down. I'm realizing that I have enough to feed a small army here. So I'm going to season with some of the cocoa aminos. We had about 2 tablespoons in there.
And Julie's here.
Hey, Julie. By the way, Julie. Oh,
They didn't hold it for a second.
this is the biggest squash we got from our garden, and it's in love with Julie's big squash that she has. So, just want to say we haven't killed it yet, or I guess it wouldn't be killing; it would be slicing. Okay, I think I'm going to turn this off. I'll add the brown rice vinegar, or again, you could use lime. Put a little squeeze of lime in here. That would be equally delicious. And it's just about done. I'm just going to slice some garnishes up for this. Okay. And I'm just going to get some of these things out of the way so I have a little more room.
Maybe what he said she invited Frank Pepper, who's in the same study house.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much. It's always nice to have friends come along, especially when we can feel so isolated right now. And we have a family unit here, but I know so many people that are by themselves right now, and I love doing things online. I have 2 different yoga teachers that I take classes from, and that has been a great lifeline. And yeah, it's good to support your friends that are at home any way you can. That might be too much. I was about to put it all in, and then I reconsidered. I was going to put kind of a sprinkle. You can actually put some of those green onions in a bowl for people to just add on top of their lettuce wrap. If you want to do it that way too. If somebody especially likes green onions, they can add some more to their individual lettuce wrap. We are getting really close to finishing here. Last thing is cilantro. Cilantro is one of my favorite things. We actually can't grow it here in the summer, so we bought this at the store. But it is a very cooling herb, and it's good for you in the summertime. Like this dish that's full of juicy vegetables and lots of minerals. It's really good for you to have in the summer when you're sweating more, maybe spending more time outside, depending on where you live. And so you can have some of the tender stems in here, that is fine. If you prefer, you can use basil or Thai basil in here. That would also be good. You could probably use a number of other things too, but I like cilantro a lot with the ginger and the garlic. And don't worry if you don't like cilantro now, someday you will. There's that thought that you might have the gene where you don't like cilantro, but I used to hate it and now I love it.
You want to tell them about the summer special?
So I'm having a summer special for cooking together that's 50% off of the subscription for the first half of August until August 15th. So I'll put something in the comments below about that, a direct link to that if you're interested, or if you know somebody that wants to be part of that. Love for you to share it with them. I was just thinking that another thing you might want to add to this is cashews or peanuts. Some kind of roasted nut might be delicious in here, but not necessary. Okay. I'm just gonna get a bowl ready and tidy up here for a second. Have a lot of stuff. Okay. Yeah, this summer, because we've been doing the Cooking Together project, in addition to these Wednesday live shows, we've been eating really well because I'm always having to think about the next thing that I'm going to do for my blog or for Cooking Together or for the live show. And I honestly think if I wasn't doing these projects to share with other people, we would be making the same old thing over and over. And so it has been a blessing. And it's not that we're making super complicated things, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I really want to make these dishes accessible to everyone, not use too many exotic ingredients. The bamboo shoots are the most exotic thing I've made recently. But it is nice to have variety and use what's in season. And I like to give as many options as possible. So, like if I was doing this for Cooking Together, I would have given an option to make this with chicken for someone that doesn't like mushrooms or wants that kind of protein. And you can basically make it exactly the same way, but you're probably going to cook the chicken first and then add the diced chicken in to the vegetables. So I like having options. And even if you have different people in one household that eat differently, you can still make this entire saute and just do the mushrooms separately, the chicken separately, and then everybody can enjoy it and use either the mushrooms or the chicken. So I like to give options and have recipes that everybody can enjoy. So I do want to try this and see how we're doing on the seasonings before I put these in a lettuce wrap. I think it's really good. Because I did add more vegetables than the recipe called for, and I still used the 2 tablespoons of cocoa aminos. It probably could have used a little bit more, maybe another half tablespoon. But other than that, I think it's really good. So I'll just put a little grind of some Himalayan salt, a little pepper. And I think even though I put a little brown rice vinegar in here, I think I actually would like to put a little lime on mine. So this will be an option for anyone that wants to have a little bit of a citrus taste on theirs. This would probably be good with lemon, lime, or orange, but you've got. Okay. So I'm going to make one for Nelson, one for me. Izzy hasn't had her breakfast yet. I can hear her upstairs probably getting dressed. She's been getting up late lately, very late. So I'll make one for me, one for Nelson. So you'll have to let me know if you try these and how you like it. These are a great thing for like a light lunch, or even, we've been eating light dinners lately and really enjoying that, because then you're not full all evening long, and by the morning you feel really refreshed. If you can eat by 6 or 7 at the latest and eat a lighter meal, like maybe a soup and salad or a vegetarian meal, that way you sleep better. And I've just been finding that, especially in the summertime, if I eat a lighter meal at night and maybe eat a little heartier meal at lunchtime if I need it, that I feel much better. So something you can try. Sometimes a really small adjustment can be a really significant benefit. So I think we needed 2 each to start. And these leaves ended up being a lot smaller than I thought, but I think they're still going to work. So I'm not going to show eating these in front of the camera because they're going to be a little messy, but I think that's part of the fun. I'm just going to squeeze a little lime, and it would be fun to serve these with some different toppings, like maybe some roasted cashews and some sliced green onion and some limes, and then just let people choose what they want. So enjoy making and eating your mushroom lettuce wraps, and I'll see you here the same place, same time next Wednesday. I'll let you know by Monday what we're going to make, so hopefully you have time to gather the ingredients. And please share the video or the recipe even. You can go to the link for the recipe with anyone you think might want to join in and make the recipe. So have a great rest of your week.